Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you all. We're going to be working on the Alchemy Clarity stuff again. I was hoping to finish it last night and have a playtest, or not a playtest, a patch for you for the playtest, but I didn't quite finish it because I realized, well, there's a couple of things, but I realized I needed sound effects for it, so I had to add a bunch of sound effects. But I still need to do that dialogue that shows like what alchemy actually does. So we're going to be focusing on that today. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, Alchemortis is available for playtesting right now. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can use alchemy to create your own builds and synergies. If that sounds like it's up your alley, give it a wish list, click request access on the Steam page, give it a try, and let me know what you think in the Discord. I would appreciate that. You can also support the game on Patreon. If you subscribe at the sponsored tier here for at least 1 month, you will get an Alchemortis Steam key from me when the game launches, which means you won't need to buy it on Steam, and your name will be listed in the in-game credits. So yeah, just as a thank you for supporting the development. You can also support by purchasing one of my Udemy courses if you want to learn how to make games in the Godot engine. And you could also become a YouTube channel member, subscribe with Twitch, all that good stuff. There are multiple different ways that you can contribute to my McDonald's fund. Anyway, my glasses are super smudgy here. I hate glasses that are smudgy. Okay. Are we good now? Ponyboy, are we golden? I think we're okay. Anyway, hello Necromantic, welcome back, good to see you. Hello Fireblast, good to see you again. Clickertail, welcome back. Gimity, good to see you as well. You like Twitch for this tracker? 3 stream streak, nice. This music is making me sleep. Sorry, should I turn the music off? Hello Avicenna, welcome, good to see you. So let me show you what is the current state of this system here. I actually recorded my own sound effects last night. Very first time I've ever recorded a sound effect for my game. And it was for one of these little wispy things. If the game would load. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Thank you. So we've got, I think a lot of you saw this yesterday, but the wisps, they go up into the pearl there. The pearl has like a little bounce animation now, which gets more extreme with more things impacting it. So it's a little bit more interactive now. Put all the items onto the alchemy board, alchemize, send all those into the alchemy pot, and then we come out. So I don't remember exactly what was I working on yesterday that was taking so long. I think I just spent a lot of time messing around with the animations and sound effects. Oh, the other thing that I did, right, the other thing that took a big chunk of time is I added ability icons for basically every different type of ability. So there's a new ability icon now for artifact added abilities. So this ability here, oh shoot, I need one for board effect too. I think. Yeah, I need one for board effect too. So maybe I'll add that. Sorry, 1 second, I'm getting sidetracked. So anyway, so basically, based on where the ability is coming from, it will change its icon. So I'm trying to think. So if I add, let's do this. Get out of here. Add item infusion altar. Okay, so you can see now that there's also a projection icon here. So this is like a little wispy thing as well. Projects to items that are both left and right adjacent. I may update that icon. I don't think I like that icon very much, but you can see that this projected ability now has a different icon here. So the goal is to make it clear when abilities are part of the item and when they're just coming from a different item. But also the reason I was doing that is because it makes the alchemy a lot clearer now as well. So if I add item werewolf, and I put the werewolf in with a skeleton, you can see now, oh, that's not working on the inspector, but you can see now in the tooltip, the abilities that are going to be replaced, or that are at risk of being replaced, are, well, they're blinking and they're fading out. And this becomes a lot more apparent, so let's just do this. And I'm gonna add another werewolf. So this becomes a lot more apparent, especially when there's a lot of items. So if you're like, wait a minute, how many abilities are gonna be replaced? Well, you can see that all of those are blinking now, right? So that just gives you, I mean, I guess the main point of doing that was to give players an at-a-glance way of knowing which abilities are at risk. So if an icon is blinking like this, that means that it's at risk of being replaced, right? So that's not explicitly explained yet, but that's part of the work we're going to do today, is to add a dialogue that explains this explicitly. But I'm hoping that this is at least more informative and more intuitive than the way it worked before. And then of course we've got the ability pool up here, which you can hover over. You can see all of the abilities that are being contributed. I may do some work. I may split this. Maybe I'll group it by item contribution, but I don't know for sure. Is that directed at me? No, I don't think so. Are we sidetracked yet? We're always sidetracked. This is the... We just get sidetracked and we do stuff all the time. So yeah, anyway, so hopefully that makes everything a lot clearer, and I like this effect. This effect, I just think this generally is better, because you can see that the abilities are flying out of the card, going into the ability pool. You see that happen, and then they fly out of the ability pool and go into the pot. And so, like, I hope, at least, that that's going to be a little bit more intuitive and going to clue in the player as to what's happening a little bit more, but then we're also going to add the explicit explanations in case they still don't know. Thank you, Snupbill, for the IDR 10,000. That's very much appreciated with the message yummers. Thank you. Welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. All right, so I have so many bugs. You guys keep reporting bugs, and it's like, I'm glad that you're reporting the bugs for sure, but my to-do list is like a bottomless pit. You take one task off and like 4 more get added. So it's just a real Sisyphean effort, you know? But it's good. I've been fixing a lot of bugs too here and there. So that's great. Anyway, let's design a alchemy drawer. We need to design a dialogue window. Actually, I was thinking maybe it should be... should it be a drawer, actually? So the idea is you'll click on this pool button. You click it, it will open up a drawer. I'm thinking a drawer, like we could just do a drawer that slides out over top of all this stuff. Or we could do... So there's a couple of different ways to present this. We could do like just a full screen dialogue, you know, very similar to how pause works, right? Just slide something over top of the screen, dim everything else out. The other thing we could do is when we click the ability pool, we could have another drawer like either slide out over top of all this stuff or slide out to the side over top of everything. Actually, that one would be a little bit difficult. That one would be a little bit difficult. But it may be useful to be able to have the explanation open while you're doing alchemy, so that's probably something that I should consider. Because if players really aren't understanding it and they want to have the information open, yeah, okay, so let's make that a requirement. Let's make it a requirement that you have to be able to interact with alchemy with the alchemy information open. Well, that's going to be a little bit tricky. Because then I have to handle all the different states as well. Like what happens like when you collapse the alchemy drawer. Shoot. I mean, I could just add another nested drawer in here. So like this, like a little accordion thing. And put another drawer behind this. Make the tab slide out to that drawer as well. No, I don't think that makes sense either. So I'm thinking, I mean, we could just make a drawer slide out this way. It would cover, it would cover the combat board, but is that okay maybe? I don't know. Hello, Rookie Tookie, welcome. How difficult would it be to add another sliding drawer? Oh, it's probably going to be unbelievably difficult. Drawer UI. Maybe I lied. Maybe this is the most complicated code in the whole code base. So we've got the inventory spacer, we've got the alchemy spacer, remaining width spacer, HBox component, right spacer. Okay, so we've got a tab container. Then we've got alchemy drawer and artifact container there, player inventory. So let me see if I can remember how this works. So the alchemy drawer lives inside of the alchemy spacer. This is the thing that gets animated, right? This is the thing that gets animated, right? Yeah, so try open alchemy. Okay. Cool. So I could, in theory, add another spacer here. And the reason these all need to be nested is because if I slide over the alchemy, everything else needs to slide as well. So basically so if you imagine an accordion, right? Like each part of the accordion is dependent on the other part. And so if the root of the accordion drawer thing moves to the left, everything else that's attached to it also has to move, right? So instead of trying to coordinate the movements of a bunch of disparate control nodes, I'm just nesting them so that the transforms are inherited. That does make it a little bit tricky, but... And I'm running out of room here too. Like what happens if the player board is pretty big? I guess I could just make the... I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should just do a dialogue that pops up. It would be nice to be able to interact with the alchemy though when it's open. Let's see. The other problem is there's the risk of breaking this scene if I do too much with it. And then I have to think about all the states too, like I have to collapse that alchemy. I have to collapse that alchemy drawer as well. That alchemy information drawer when the alchemy is collapsed. Well, okay. Maybe we'll just do the less UX friendly thing for now. We'll just put the information in, and then maybe as a quality of life item, I can integrate it as something that you can have open while you're engaging with alchemy. I mean, the other option is just have like a little window here that slides out and then just allow it to cover the player board. Hello, Dione. Welcome back. Good to see you. Hello, Hive B. I already beat 2 runs and I love it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to hear that. Lots of players are coming in the Discord and saying that they're really having a lot of fun. So that's great. I'm really, really happy to hear that. And thank you to everyone who has playtested the game, first of all, but also thank you to the people who have come in the Discord and reported your bugs and reported the quality of life issues, reported whatever issues you have with the game. That's very much appreciated, because every little problem you find that I can fix before release is going to make the game that much better. And so, yeah, it's very much appreciated. Thank you. Day 1, I will buy it. That's great. All right, well, let's just stop hemming and hawing about this. I'm just going to create a dialogue window for it. What is the pause menu? Layer 20. Layer 20. Okay. So let's just create a new scene. Let's do a canvas layer. This would be Alchemy, information, dialogue, scenes, UI, Alchemy. Here we go. Alrighty, so let's do margin container. We gotta set that bad boy to full rectangle. And then we want to do a panel container. Panel container there. Let's do layout, custom minimum size, 256. We're gonna do transform, shrink center, shrink center. Okay, so there's our panel container. We're gonna need a screen dimmer. And then we're gonna need a scroll handler component. And then we're gonna need an escapable component. Screen dimmer, okay. Then we're gonna need a panel header. Okay, this panel container, this theme type variation needs to be panel container alternate. Okay, panel header, this will be UI, panel header, Alchemy, information. Let's just do info. UI panel header, Alchemy info. Let's add a script to this. I'm just gonna build this translation string immediately, so I don't have to look at that. Translation groups dot panel header UI panel header Alchemy info. All right, so we build. Also get more wish lists from some friends. They say it's very fun and unique. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. What's the difference in having a control node versus a canvas item as the root node? So a canvas item is essentially a separate layer. A canvas item draws to its own layer, and so it kind of ignores the position in the tree. So the most common use, I think, of Godot developers using canvas layers is for UI when you have some kind of character with a camera, right? So as you're moving through the world, you don't want your UI to be relative to world space, you just want your UI to draw to the screen, right? So the canvas layer kind of has like its own coordinate space. They don't get rendered based on a camera position or whatever. And so it's basically just a way of defining, like, here's a layer of stuff that I want to draw to the screen. And then you can define with the canvas layer, like where at, what layer it is. Higher layers render on top, lower layers render below. And so for something like a UI dialogue or whatever, I don't really necessarily want to have to manage like putting this in the right spot in the tree. So I just create it as a canvas layer so I can control the ordering for it. And then, you know, canvas layers just also automatically ignore like the typical world space stuff. And that's very useful for this game because, you know, the map the overworld map takes place like in an actual like 2D node where you can scroll around with the camera and whatnot, but I don't want any of my UI to be affected by that. So all of my UI ends up being canvas layers. So yeah, anyway, that's the gist of it. So now we got to figure out what to actually write in here. Oh, I just thought of a quality of life thing. Backlog. Add a back prompt to all dialogues. Escapable panels, etc. Quality of life. Move this up to the top. Okay. So what are some things that I want to explain here? So firstly, we do need a margin container. Margin container. Let's do eight. Let's just do 22. Okay, so this needs to be 20. There we go. 8. 8. Okay. Actually, probably make it a scroll container first. Scroll container. Layout. Why am I so... Expand. Okay. So the scroll container, custom maximum size. Maybe we'll do 256 for the custom maximum size, and then the container sizing, or how do we change this? Scroll bar, here we go. First of all, horizontal scroll mode disabled. Vertical scroll mode, maximize first. Okay. Anyway, let's hook up this. So scroll handler mode, scroll container there. Oh, do I need a focus context boundary component as well? Oh, I hope that works. I hope that works. We'll see. Allow outside scroll is blocking. Require scroll bar focus. I don't think I need any of that. I'll have to see if that works. But anyway, let's just focus on getting the actual content in here. So this is going to be a little bit annoying because I'm going to have to translate all of this stuff. Okay. So what I'm thinking about doing is I'll define the translation strings in the code, but I will do them one at a time. So wait a minute. Scroll active off. Okay, so rich text label. So this would be like when you place items into Alchemy. What do I want to say here? When you place items into the Alchemy pot, eligible abilities from each item are added to the ability pool. So we're going to try to make this not like super initiating alchemy. Abilities on items are randomized by replacing abilities on items are randomly replaced. So here's one of the things I don't like about English. I think you're supposed to technically say abilities on items are replaced by a random ability. Abilities on items are randomly replaced by an ability from the ability pool. So you're supposed to use the word by here, but with is the word I've always used for my entire life. Replaced with an ability, replaced by an ability. You know what's funny is that the first time I realized, like, wait a minute, is it technically supposed to be by instead of with? The first time I found out about that was actually in college. I had a Chinese math professor who obviously English was his second language, and he kept saying, replace the variable by this value, replace the variable by this value. And I was like, why is he saying that? And I looked it up and I was like, that's the correct English. I was like, what? Anyway, I don't like that, so I'm not going to do it. But hello, Skull. Welcome. Hello, Swapshaw. I'm here seeking advice. I want to make more moves, more than just a few Godot 2D platformer game tutorial on URL. What roadmap can I follow to reach the goal of making one complete game? I don't know if there's like a roadmap specifically. I think what I would suggest for you, Swapshaw, is just like give yourself a deadline. Just give yourself a deadline. Say like, I'm going to finish a game, a simple game in like a week or a month, depending, and just do everything you can to adhere to that deadline. Don't let yourself like get lost. Like you need, I think you need to put constraints on yourself. Like just say, I'm going to finish this game in a month, and then that will cause you to focus on just the things that need to be done so you have a complete game. And that may involve cutting mechanics, and it may involve cutting content, right? I think the typical advice here, and the advice that I like to give, is if you participate in game jams, that will help a lot, because game jams obviously only happen over a short period of time, and you really have to make tough decisions about content and scope. So yeah, I'm not sure if there's like a roadmap. I think you just need to practice making games in accordance with a deadline so that you actually finish them. And it's not going to go well the first couple of times, but as you do that and as you try to finish games within a short period of time, you will learn everything that needs to be done. You'll get a better feel for how to scope your games properly, etc. Items placed in the pot have their abilities added to an ability pool. I'm going to do something a little bit different here. Yeah, let's see. Well, we'll start with that. Adds or replaces all abilities on each item. Okay. I want to complete one Mario type game where a player must reach a location fighting challenges in 3 to 4 levels. I haven't come across a good complete roadmap. Maybe got to break down the path. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know what you mean by roadmap. I mean, I guess like there's no, like making games is not a science. It's not like follow these steps exactly. Like every process to getting from start to finish is different. But there are basic things that need to be in place, right? So like you need to have that core loop. So if you know that you're going to have challenges and 3 to 4 levels and it's going to be a Mario type game, then just getting the core loop down would be, you know, getting the player movement in, getting some enemies to interact with or defeat into the game, and then getting some kind of level complete into the game, setting that up. And so that's like your loop, right? And then you can create multiple levels that follow that loop. But then you need to, you know, do the art, like implement the art, and then you need to implement sound effects. And then you probably want to have like a main menu with maybe a settings menu, and like, you know, you just take it one step at a time. Might need like a game over screen or a lost condition, right? And so you just keep adding these things that you know you need to create a complete game. And yeah, you'll get there. I guess the word roadmap is kind of confusing to me because it's not like there's a well-defined set of steps that you need to do to finish a game. There are certain features that you need to have in your game for it to be considered complete, but as far as how you get there, it's kind of it's a little bit nebulous, you know what I mean? Some things are pretty wordy and cumbersome to read. I've been trying to fix that, but the problem is that, you know, it can't be like 3 words for each ability because that's just not possible. But I've been trying to like reduce the wordiness where possible. Hello, Emerson. Welcome back. I spent already like 3 hours in your game. Really fun. Not 3 hours in one run. And reached the end in 45 minutes. The start and end of the game feels satisfying and not annoying when losing. Awesome. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Do you find certain Godot built-in methods too encapsulated? I don't know what that means. Too encapsulated. Like, there's too much happening under the hood. Makes it feel like there's not a lot of flexibility. I mean, if that's what you mean, then I think there are definitely situations in the Godot API where I wish more was exposed through the API. Like just the other day, I was looking for a fuzzy search API to use myself. And in Godot 4.7.1, that's not currently a thing, right? Fuzzy search is implemented for specific controls, but there's no like generic fuzzy search API that I can just use for my own purposes. Now that's coming in 4.8, but when I'm interacting with the Godot API, I most often feel like not enough of the API is exposed. So maybe that's what you mean, right? But that's not a very common occurrence. Like there's every once in a while, I'll find like a built-in Godot, like a feature of a Godot node or a Godot class, but there's no way to just utilize that specific feature because that API is not exposed or that functionality is just specifically for that that node. But it doesn't happen. That doesn't happen often. Thank you, hello Denk. I'm not gonna click the video, but spent 3 or 4 hours in the game, like playing 1 or 2 runs from time to time, but can't feel the time. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. New playtest definitely has a lot of quality of life improvement. I'm not sure if it's just me. Does the game feel a bit easier now? Yeah, it may be a bit easier. I'm gonna tweak the difficulty. So I think the game is a little bit easy from a couple of reasons. One, I think that blood is a little bit too common. So I'm gonna, after this play, I don't want to tune too many like gameplay or game feel knobs for the playtest here, but I do want to tune the amount of blood that players are getting. I want to make that a little bit scarcer because I think it's a little bit too easy to get blood now. I think just making the enemies more difficult at a baseline can work as well, especially in like the later regions, in the mid region. I want to add more difficulty modifiers too. I think there's 8 difficulty modifiers now, so I would love to maybe double that, put 16 in the game so that, you know, the hardest version of the game would be with all the 16 difficulty modifiers active. So yeah, I think, you know, there's some tweaks to be made. I think I'm going to nerf armor as well. Hello, Kazori, welcome back. I think you should maybe nerf that one eye and change to the blood artifact. Heal is still quite good, though. Yeah, the eyeball. Hello, one-legged chicken. Do you have any other games released other than Alchemortis? Yes. Gunforged was the game that I released before Alchemortis. It's a twin-stick roguelite shooter. So you could check that out if you want to, but it's not as good as Alchemortis. But it's sold, you know, I think Gunforged has like over 6,000 lifetime sales now, so you know, for like a first serious commercial release on Steam, I think that's pretty good. But if Alchemortis only sells 6,000 copies, I'm going to be very, very, very sad. But yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, I'm grateful for that because it's like, you know, a lot of people try, you know, they try to release games on Steam and they don't even come anywhere close to selling thousands of copies. And it's like, I just, you know, I'm grateful that it sold that much, but for Alchemortis, it got to sell more than that. All right, so what do I actually want to do here? So I'm going to do, yeah, this would be eligible ability label. And then we'll do something like, I don't know, we'll do something like, maybe we'll do innate. Cannot be replaced in Alchemy by default. By default, without special reagents or something like that. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. So I have a clearer idea of what I want to do here. This might be too wide. Let me turn this down. I think that looks a little bit nicer. I guess I didn't really need the scroll container. Items placed in the bottom. All right, well, let's just see how this goes. All right, translation, string. Group, translation, groups dot. I'm going to rename this. Let's rename this to info. Private const string info alchemy intro? I don't know. Info alchemy, whatever, we'll just call it info alchemy dialogue 1. All right, let's copy this. Dialogue 2. Grab this guy. Initiating alchemy adds or replaces abilities on each item with a random ability from the pool. Okay. So this, what I want to say is like a pulsing ability icon indicates an ability that may be replaced. Info alchemy dialogue 3. This one's going to be a little bit tricky. Okay. Innate, corrupted, and legendary abilities cannot be replaced in alchemy. Cannot be replaced by alchemy. Dialogue 4. Okay, innate, corrupted. So this is where I want to change this because these are going to need to be keywords. So this has to be replaced. Keywords. Oops. Innate. Innate. Keyword legendary. Keyword reagent. Reagents. Okay, so info alchemy dialogue 1. Nope, wrong one. Okay. Info alchemy dialogue 2. Info alchemy dialogue 4. So let's build. Actually, I don't even know if it's... I don't really know if it's even worth doing this. Let's see. So I do need to do highlight keywords on this. So maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should just do dialogue 1, dialogue 2, dialogue 3, or 4. Okay. Text 1, text 2, text 4. I guess I'll just call this text 3 too. That's not really a good name for it, but that's all right. Okay, let's see if we can get this working. What am I doing? Text 2. Ability label text 3. All right. Text 1 is equal to text1.text is equal to description utils dot highlight keywords translate UI no info alchemy dialog 1. Okay, text 2.text dialog 2, and then text 3.text dialog 3. Oh, 4, I mean. So now the ability label, that's going to require some work, but we will do that later. Let's just see if that much works. Probably want to add some icons to the legendary ability as well. Innate, corrupted, and legendary abilities cannot be replaced by alchemy without special ingredient or special reagents. Okay, so that looks good. Ability description here, test. Okay. Cool. So we're getting there. We're getting there. I bought your Udemy C# course, and I'm having a blast with it. Thank you so much for your work. Let's get good at Godot. Thank you, Felipe. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thank you. I think I read like 50% of games don't even make $1,000 or something, but the vast majority of games released are also slop. So yeah. Yeah, it's actually just, I mean, it's just really hard generally to make something that people want to spend their money on. Like that is just hard to do no matter what you're doing. Man, yeah, it just makes sense that the vast majority of people would be unsuccessful in doing that because it is actually really hard. You know, it's like it's not easy to make money selling things. It's much easier to sell your labor. Are there any particular reasons you use C# instead of GDScript? Just personal preference, yeah. That's it. That's it. But welcome to the stream, U8 Crunch. Do you have a full-time, part-time job and do game dev? No, I'm full-time on game dev. Full-time on Alchemortis right now. We'll see. I will probably have to get a normal job again if Alchemortis doesn't do well. So we'll see what happens. So forgot to mention there's a weird bug. The tutorial activates when I come back to the game, or random parts of the tutorial activates randomly through, even though I'm already playing for 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm gonna redo the tutorial. It's just not very good, I guess. The thing about the tutorial is that there are certain states, and the tutorial doesn't activate those states until certain conditions are met. And so it is definitely possible to play for a while before you trigger a tutorial moment. So, yeah. The thing about the tutorial is, like, I could make a more guided tutorial. The problem is that would have to be separate than a normal run. It would require the player to, like, explicitly from the menu say, I want to play the tutorial. But I may end up having to do something like that. I thought that the tutorial tips approach would be nice because you could re-enable tutorials at any point while you're in a run and it would just pick up from there, but I don't think it's working very well. What do you use for taskboard, to-do files, and other? Obsidian with the Kanban plugin. Footlong Icicle, welcome. Good to see you again. I'm a Steamworks partner now, following my niche eCeleb steps. Very nice. Congratulations, Emerson. Good luck on your Steam journey. How much time you've been working on this project for? Since March of 2025. And I've been putting in 8 to 10 hours a day of work on it for like a year now. I noticed that in Godot, there's no option to make raw input at all, only disable vsync. But in Unity, we can keep vsync and raw input together without delaying. Rotation or Rotational Road to Vostok or Blood Thief. It's a curse for Godot developers. What's the percent done? Probably like 75%, 80%, something like that. I mean, most of the remaining stuff to do is just add content and quality of life stuff. The game is like functionally done. So the rest of the development effort is just going to be adding more content and fixing everything up. You're still reviewing game source code? I'm not, no. I'm focused on Alchemy, but I'll probably return to that when I have time. Do you plan on launching December, November? Before the end of the year, yes. Before the end of the year. So we need to make this ability label configurable. Configure for text only. Text 3. Info Alchemy dialogue 3. Pulse icon. Here we go. Oh, do I want to do... Grid indicator? Oh, it's a placeholder. Okay. All right, let's see what happens. What's your target sales number, earnings? I have some ideas, but I don't know if I want to share that. V scroll was hidden while focused. Focus should be moved to disabled before hiding a focus control. Description utils.wrap color. Game constants.color green. I migrated my code to C# so I can benefit from interfaces in my action turn-based. Watching your puzzle game course to get used to how Godot C# works. Awesome. Welcome back, Philippe Tao, by the way. I think that looks decent. I also don't need this scroll container, so we're going to get rid of that. Okay. Do I want to put a button at the bottom? en base. Let's just put it here. We'll just make my life easy. Is that being stretched? It is being stretched. Can actually make those buttons variable width now. But that's all right. All right, so we got a bunch of work to do here. So let's mark this as unique name. Let me do this as well. Show innate icon in keywords. All right, so done button. So let's just grab that real quick. Okay. We're going to need to do animations for this as well. Just all kinds of boilerplate stuff. That's all right. We're also going to need a Boolean. Okay, is playing out equals true. Do some stuff in there. I guess I don't really need to do that. All right, so we also need a reference to the screen dimmer. Screen dimmer. We also need a reference to the escapable component. What else do I need? Oh, do I need the focus context boundary component? Maybe not. We'll figure that out later. One thing I do need to do is this margin container. This needs to have offset transform enabled. So I'm going to need a reference to the margin container as well. Okay, so on ready, what we're going to do is we're going to say margin container dot offset transform position ratio is equal to vector2 dot up. Let's call play in. Okay. We'll just do this safe thing. Tween.kill if valid. Tween. Create tween. Tween.tween. Offset transform position ratio of margin container to vector2.0 over 0.5 seconds dot out dot cubic. Okay. Tween.tween action. We're going to want to set the done button dot disabled is equal to false. Done button dot disabled equals true. Okay, so what else do we need to do? Screen dimmer dot clicked on screen dimmer clicked. And then we need an escapable component dot escaped on escaped. Let's also do escapable component dot add conditional not is playing out on screen dimmer clicked play out private void on escaped play out. No. Okay. Okay, we'll copy this. I'll just copy that basically exactly. This goes vector2.up. I think we want to do... I think that's fine, actually. So we want to do done button dot disabled equals true. Between action Q free. We want to do screen dimmer dot undim, and then we want to do screen dimmer dot dim. Did I forget anything? I might need to do something with the focus context boundary component, but maybe not. Let's see, disabled true, disabled false. Undim, disabled true. Kill if valid. Yeah, it should be fine. Got the conditional here. I think that'll work. Should be able to test it here, actually. Okay, done. That out animation is a little bit... Let's actually do vector2.down. There we go. Okay. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. What's your approach to state machine if implemented anytime I'm using resources but considering moving... Oh, at the time I'm using resources, but considering moving to node-based finite state machine. I use state machines. The main loop of Alchemortis is driven by a giant state machine. So I definitely use it. My state machines are pure classes, though. I don't use resources or nodes for it. So I just write all the logic into a class, and that's my state machine. I actually have a special type of state machine that I wrote. It's called a simple state machine. And the way that the simple state machine works is essentially it treats individual method references as the states. So I don't need to have like enum values or anything. So basically the way it works is when I define a state machine, I just say add state for every state I want. And then I literally just point a method to that state. And so what the state machine does is it knows that it needs to call the state map init method when it enters the state map init state. And then changing to states is just a matter of calling change state. So change state here. And what that does is that basically queues up the next method call, but it calls it in a deferred manner. So that way the current state can finish before it breaks out to the new state. And it's really simple. So I think it's really nice. Like the methods themselves become the actual states. And so not only does it make it easy to follow the flow of the logic and find where like this method is referenced so I can see like when it's changing into that state, but the logic is just right there, right? So then I could just write the state machine out like all these states here are just individual methods. So I like that approach, but everyone has different preferences. Hello, MKRD, welcome. Participated in another jam, got 9th place. Awesome, congratulations, that's great. Am I crazy for wanting to do another jam? No, you're not crazy. I think I like jams a lot. I would definitely be doing more game jams if I had time. Hello, Jesse, welcome, good to see you. That guy Doru says they're not structs. Hello, December, eh? All right, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we will integrate this dialogue. Let me actually see if the animation is working properly now. We'll integrate this dialogue. Yeah, it's working. Okay. And then we'll see how everything's feeling, and maybe I'll be able to kick off a build. I don't know if there's really much else I'm going to do on this Alchemy pool stuff. I think it's pretty good for now. So I'm going to push it out to the playtest branch when it's finished so you all can play with it and let me know what you think. But anyway, I'll be right back in just 3 minutes and we'll continue on. All right, I'm back. Got 1,800 on creative field on GMTK. That's really bad. I don't think that's bad. What was there, like 10,000 entries, right? So you were in the top 20%, right? Did I do my math correctly? You're in the top 20%, so I think that's actually really respectable. Game dev doesn't have to be organized or have all written book. I've seen the Thronefall dev, Jonas Tyroller. He had spaghetti code and everything unorganized, some errors in console, and launched the game. Yeah, that's definitely true. Your game, like the technical aspect of your game doesn't need to be amazing. I'm not that way. I like literally cannot launch a game that is like spaghettified to all heck. It's just not possible for me to do that. If I see code, I have an insatiable desire to fix it if it's bad. But that is not a requirement, that's for sure. You know, part of it is like, I don't know. I want it to be built well, even if no one's going to tell, right? Even if it's the end result is the player doesn't see any of the source code. I still feel better if it's built well. We already have a resource preloader, so maybe I'll do Alchemy information dialogue here. My experience too, but there's something that may struggle with time. Update the product. The spaghetti code may ruin your update more than the first one. Last year was number 7,137. So yeah, you made that's a huge improvement, right? So that's good. I think you should be proud of yourself for that. So you have Claude installed. Do you use it for generating code? Well, I mean that's what Claude is for. I don't use it to write all of my gameplay systems. What I use Claude for is for like refactoring things. Claude is also very useful for investigating bugs. So I've been using it as like a bug hunter for me. Like I just say, oh, this user reported this bug. Can you like scan the code base and figure out where it is? Sometimes it doesn't do a good job of that. Like there was a bug yesterday that was causing like a freeze, like a combat freeze. And Claude did not find the correct issue, so I had to dig into the code myself and find it. And then I'll use Claude for like rote stuff like refactoring and whatnot. So the kinds of stuff that I know how to do that would just take me time to do, Claude will do that. It saves a bunch of time. Alchemy information dialogue. So we need to on-click. So clickable control plus equals on. Let's just do on clicked. Private void on clicked. Resource preloader dot instantiate scene or null. Alchemy information dialog, and then we're going to do var dialog is equal to that. Add child dialog. All right, let's see what happens. It's a per person thing. For me, it's art is the problem. I suck at art, so I redo it nonstop. Code can be spaghetti or whatever, and still can make quick adjustments, but art, yeah. I saw your utilities library on C#. On it, there's 2 implementations of state machines. Is simple state machine an evolution of the delegate one? Yes, yeah. I would recommend simple state machine. Well, okay, so the delegate state machine, I should clarify this. I want to spend some time and update that libraries because I think it could be really useful with some documentation and some more structure. But the delegate state machine, I believe, has an update method, and that is designed to be called every frame. So you would put like state machine.update in your process method, right? So that's what the delegate state machine does. The simple state machine is just like an immediate state machine. So for things where you don't need frame by frame updates in your state machine, you can just use that. And so when you say change state, it just does the state transition immediately, and then it just waits. It doesn't do anything until you change your state again, right? So that simple state machine is for example, like UI state, where you click a button and then something happens and now you're in a state, right? But you don't need to do something every frame in that state. You're just in that state. And then you click a button and you go to the other state, right? I would like to update that state machine too, because I think it would be cool to actually be able to define like transitions and stuff, but yeah, it's just very basic. I'm good at code and art. The only thing I think I hate is audio. Audio is tough. I don't enjoy doing audio either. A lot of people have said the audio in Alchemortis is really good, which I'm absolutely happy with, but it's not fun for me to do at all. So why is clicking out here not working? That looks decent though. I'm happy with that. So did I not get my screen dimmer click to work properly? On screen dimmer clicked. So why is that not working? Did I do something wrong? Mouse filters stop. Do I have any errors? No. Is this not working? Play out, undim. Is that not working? Why is the click not working? Does the click work elsewhere? Oh, I know why it's not working. Because this margin container is intercepting the mouse events. Classic. Okay. Should be good now. Should be good now. Oops. Wow, I'm just like a klutz today. I can't type, I can't click. So if I click this, boom, items placed in the pot have their eligible abilities added to the pool. I can click outside to dismiss. Let's plug in the controller and make sure everything works nicely here as well. Also plug in my controller. All right, so if I do this, ability pool. Oh, that's going off the screen. That's not good. Good thing I tested that. Okay, but the focus resumes properly to where it's supposed to be. That's good. I might speed up that animation a little bit. That feels a little bit lazy. I notice you don't do sprite sheet animation. You have sprites and animator animations in software, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I can show you. Let me show you. So character necromancer. So the necromancer just has all of these body pieces cut out, like a little paper cutout kind of animation, South Park style, you know? And then, so I draw the character first, just like as a static sprite, and then I will cut out all the pieces and touch up all the pieces as necessary to make them fit together. And then I go into the Godot and I define a run and an idle animation for the guy. And then I use an animation tree to control the blending between those things so that I can do smooth transitions between the animations. Otherwise it kind of looks a little bit stuttery if I just instantly go to the run animation and instantly go back to idle. So there's actually a tween that plays to change this blend over to run when we're running and then change it back to idle. So yeah, but that's what I do for all the characters. And the nice thing about that is, like, you know, I can go in and I can tweak the animations if I'm not happy with them. And it's less artwork to do as well. Spine 2D style. Yeah, something similar. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Spine is like bone based. I could be wrong. This is all keyframe based. There's no bones in the character. So that would be the core difference. But yeah, I think this is feeling pretty good actually. I'm just going to go in with the controller. So I open this, put that over there, put that over there. That goes up. Put that there. Put that there. Okay. Okay. I can go up here pretty easily. Okay, that's feeling pretty good actually. Open that up. That automatically focuses the done. Click that. That looks pretty good. I ain't got no complaints about that. I ain't got no complaints about that. Well, I do have one complaint, which is that I want to add a little bit of extra margin to the done button. But that's it. Margin top. Let's do 8. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. A little bit more space between the button and the text. The problem here is that this tooltip is too close to the edge. Int padding override. Okay. When I call update tooltip position, let's do private const int tooltip padding. See if that works. Let's see if that works. Oh. It needs a little bit more padding. Though, isn't the rotation causing trouble with the pixel alignment crunchy? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's trouble. That's part of the aesthetic of the game, is the pixel crunchiness, the things getting kind of like crunched down and muddied by the pixel grid. It's a intentional part of the style. I'm not concerned with making everything pixel aligned at all times anyway. Like, obviously when you're just like in the normal static screen it should be, but I definitely allow animations and stuff to crunch down the pixels. Okay, that looks better. Looking at the mage, looking like the mage is having fun regardless. Yeah, he is. Idea, make the cauldron shake, rattle if something happens. That part of the UI seems too static despite all the juice. I don't think I want the alchemy pot to do anything while it's not doing anything. I mean, when you do this, it works, but I mean, maybe I could add like an idle animation to the pot. That may be good. But yeah, I do want to add more like visual interest to, especially the static parts of the UI, like you said. So yeah, definitely want to do that stuff. So I've got a lot of work to do for the release. But, oops. Get sold, skeleton. It does already have velocity on screen chains. Yeah. So it's only static when it's here. When it's just not doing anything. But it does have like an in animation. As well as when you click it, it does an animation. So yeah. But I think this is looking good, actually. I may change that. Okay. Yeah. I definitely need to make it feel more gamey though. Like definitely needs more animations, more visual effects. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get all this stuff done for the demo. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to do much content until the demo build is ready because I'm just gonna be working on quality of life stuff. I gotta rework the tutorial. I want to add some more visual interest to the game, animations and art and whatnot. And then hopefully once the demo's released, I can just focus basically purely on content and balancing. Actually, I should probably do balancing work for the demo as well. I mean, maybe not. Ah, fudge. I'm really worried about the difficulty because I'm worried if it's too easy, people are going to lose interest very easily. But I'm also worried if it's too hard, new players are going to bounce off the game. So, I mean, it may be as simple as just adjusting the difficulty curve, like keeping the early game relatively easy, but then making it like the difficulty as you go further on a little bit higher. I want to adjust the blood economy, all that good stuff. Okay, anyway, we're almost done with this feature. Oh, I think I need to do... No, I don't. Let's see, custom button. Audio helper register button, yes. Okay. All right. Uh-oh, this is gonna fail. Why don't you add animations on items? It'd be satisfying seeing that wolf breathing. Well, there's like 200 items in the game. And I would have to animate them all somehow. So that's just a lot of work. So yeah, the reason why I'm not doing that is because it's a lot of work. And I can't use frame-by-frame animations either. That's a hard rule for the game. So I would have to like animate them either with some kind of shader or doing the kind of character animation. So yeah, I'm not gonna do that, unfortunately. I wonder if yeah, I mean, I could work on this some more, but I think this helps as like a stopgap to explain what's going on. Let me just try one other thing here. Okay. Just making sure it looks good with the high resolution font enabled. Okay. So one other minor thing that I want to do, show innate icon in keywords. So let's go to my keywords.cs. Let's see, innate. Copy this UID. Actually, copy this UID. Why is everything slow? Okay, we're gonna delete that. Okay, ability icon innate, copy UID. Let's go to the description or the keywords. Innate. Private const string icon innate UID. Okay. So now I need to go to my base composed ability. Is innate, localized, capitalized, no icon. I should just put localized, capitalized, no icon for all of these in case I add. Yeah, in case I add those things. Probably want to do... Oh, I can just do this one here too. Here we go. Okay, so that's good. Let's also add the legendary icon. Copy this UID. Go back to my keywords. Private const string icon legendary UID. Okay. Legendary. All right, let's give that a whirl. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that looks good still. Oh, I added a new icon for Alchemy too. So hopefully that works. Absorb and remove a random innate ability. There we go. So we've got the icons now associated with those keywords. So that's good. Legendary is there as well. Now the thing I wanted to check is up here. Innate, corrupted, and legendary abilities. Very nice. Cool. I think that looks pretty good. There's a new icon for artifact added abilities too, and projected abilities. So basically, every different class of ability now has an icon. And I think this is going to go a long way to improving Alchemy, because now only the abilities that have these icons are by default replaceable by Alchemy, right? And I can absorb that. Adds the following ability to one adjacent item. Innate passive. Something stirs beneath the flesh. So in some cases, the icon's not going to be there. So the reason why the icon's not here is because the icon actually gets moved out of the ability description as the bullet point here. And so if I included the icon here, I would see two icons. So it's a little bit weird, but I just have to like not include the icon in some cases. So yeah, But anyway, so there's that. Add item wasp eggs. Oops. So yeah, here's the new projection icon as well. So hopefully that improves clarity. Just something I thought of when seeing what's standing still today. Seems like my idea solved a bunch of math stuff today. Couldn't figure it out for months. Plus 200 is crazy. Plus 200 what? Did I miss something? Idea allow players to skip ahead if it's too easy and go back if they get stuck on a skill check, maybe. So the early iterations of this game were more free roam style, and it just wasn't working. So I think the directed approach, where I'm basically just forcing the player upwards all the time, is good. I once felt like UI only games are easier to make. Having followed the development of Alchemy has made me reconsider. Yeah, I would not. Like I said before, this game was supposed to be easy to make, but it's the most art-intensive and UI-heavy game that I've made so far. Like, Gunforged was so much easier by comparison. Why have you started game dev? Is that directed at me? Oh, 200 cards, yeah. Well, the final release should have closer to 150. Or, sorry, not 150. 350. I mean, add another 150 items. So I want there to be around like 350 to 400 items when the game launches. And the reason for that is because I just want there to be a lot of replayability. And if I've got a bunch of items that are slightly different from one another, you can hopefully have different experiences every time and have different builds going. UI looks pretty smooth though, thank you. Maybe add a big animation when entering a castle battle, potentially a big gate opening that covers your entire screen or something, so people know this is a boss fight. Yeah, I need to do something like that. I mean, I am running out of time, so I'm gonna have to, like, at some point I just have to say it's good enough, you know? And that might be one area where there's not really too much I can do, given the little amount of time I have left and the other priorities I have. But, you know, these things can be improved post-release, too. It's like, the question now is not, can I do something? The question is, what absolutely needs to happen for the game to be a complete and enjoyable experience for players that purchase it? And I think missing an animation or lacking an animation, having a lackluster animation, that's not something that's necessarily going to be a requirement for that, what I just said. So it's tough, right? Because it's like, I see all these things that I want to improve. I see all these things that are like not quite that good, and I really want to like work on it. But if I just do that, I mean, I'll just do it endlessly, right? Like, and the game will never release. So I have to make tough decisions about like what I actually spend my time on. And with, you know, like I said, with the understanding that I can go and add these things later after release as updates, right? Like I can add more visual polish and art to the game after it releases. I can go in and like tweak certain things. I can even add more content after it releases, right? Like I would love to do a series of content patches when Alchemy releases where like every month or whatever I add like 20 or 25 new items or something. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Why did you start game dev? Did you have a motive or randomly decided to try it out? I think it's my getting into game dev is basically the same story as everyone else, which is, you know, I was a young teenager. I was like 13 or 14, and I discovered that there were tools available that you could use to make your own games, and I always liked playing games, and I was like, well, I want to know how that works. Like, I want to know how to make them. So I got into it, and that was back in the Game Maker 7 days, or Game Maker, it was either 7 or 8, the drag and drop Game Maker. And that's how I got started making games. And I just stuck with it. I mean, it was just a hobby of mine for the most part. I didn't start taking it seriously until like the past couple of years. And I guess the motivation for taking it seriously the past couple of years is like, I just want to see, I just want to see, can I make a living doing this? I'm not expecting to make a living doing this. It may not be the case that I can make a living doing this, but I want to at least try, I want to see if I can make it work, because it is a career that I would like to have. If I can be a solo developer and just release a game every 1 or every 2 years that, makes me enough money to live, then that would be great. But if not, then, I can continue doing it as a hobby and then do, just work normally. It's one of those things where it's just like, I just want to see if I can make it work. Hello, Artem. Do you do sprints agile to manage time, or do you just decide on time frames for different features? No, I don't do any of that. I'm basically just doing like waterfall, like Kanban, just pull things over. Oh, we want to do this too. So yeah, I mean, the way I prioritize is like I have a publisher, so like I talk with the publisher about certain deadlines that we have, and then when I have a deadline, and the publisher is not the one driving the development, it's a collaborative effort. So the publisher says, for example, hey, there's this event that's happening on Steam. We would love to make a playtest public for that event so we can gather some wish lists and stuff. And then, it's up to me to say like, yeah, I can have a playtest build for that deadline, or, no, I don't have time to do that, whatever. So the deadlines are like a collaborative decision between me and the publisher, but then once we decide on a deadline, then I reprioritize all my work around meeting that deadline. Having something like the cauldron be animated seems to me more important, since players are going to be looking at that for most of the game than a one-off scene transition. Yeah, exactly. How'd you make the cauldron water animation? It's just a shader. So if you imagine, I mean, I'm just going to draw this up really quickly. It's just a shader. So you imagine you have a box, right? So you've got like your rectangular texture. I don't know how to use paint. There we go. So you've got your rectangular texture, right? But what you can do, and you'll typically, like, I think in my texture, I have like empty space above. And so what you can do is you can actually modify the UVs of the texture to warp them so that they look like waves, right? So that's just basically a sine wave. So you end up warping the textures such that it looks like this. And you do that in accordance with like some kind of noise function, right? So you do like a noise sample or whatever. So you modify the UVs in the Y in accordance with whatever the noise being sampled is, but then you also scroll the UVs in the X so that way it just like flows sideways, right? And you can also, like, I think in that shader effect, I'm layering on multiple different noises. So you like layering on multiple different noises makes it look like there's multiple waves coming across. So not only do I have like this main sine wave that's kind of like modulated by the noise, but there's also like an extra noise sine wave being layered on top of that that's changing over like different time scales. And so what that ends up being is you end up getting like waves being added to each other and subtracted from each other. So that creates higher random looking peaks and lower random looking troughs. And that's it. It's very, very simple. And it's just two of those layered on top of each other. So we've got the one texture in the front that's rotating. It looks like it's rotating. It's going to the left. And then there's another texture behind it in the back that's going to the right. And that's it. And then this is, of course, masked. So it doesn't leave the bounds of the pot. So I wonder if I can find that. Foreground flow. Yeah, so this is the mask texture here. So the mask texture is then just enforcing that I can only see like inside of here, like to this extent. So anything that's black just gets rendered as transparent. That's it. The shader stuff is like, it's a little bit hard to get into, but I think conceptually the shaders like this are very straightforward to understand. It's just manipulating a sine wave over time, basically, and then layering on things like noise and masks and stuff like that. But you can see here how the waves are not super uniform. Like you'll see like sub waves kind of subtly moving through it. That's why I get like, you don't get a perfect like hump. You get a hump that's got like little extra bumps in it. See? So yeah. Better have taken a shot than keep wondering about it later what could have been. Right, exactly. So it's kind of like a mask, yeah. No, yeah, so it's not sprite by sprite. So all the animations in the games are one of three things. The animations are either tweens, they're either driven by an animation player, or they are shaders. So anytime you see anything moving on the screen, it's one of those things. The thing I use the most is tweens, because it's a lot of UI heavy, and tweens are really good for moving UI around. The animation players are used mostly for the characters. I think I'm using it in a couple of other places as well. And then shaders are for those things like the liquid effects. Vertical displacement, yeah, exactly. The fakest parallax, exactly. And how did you do the cauldron water, like small white lines? So I think that's just a matter of checking if the neighboring pixel up is going to be transparent. And then again, it's the same thing. Like you take a noise texture and you just up the color of that one pixel strip in accordance with some other noise that's being sampled. So you get like a strip that moves along the surface. Fell down the compute shaders rabbit hole, but caught myself in time and rescoped. There you go. Hello, Loggerhead. Two noise textures running over the top of each other at different speeds. Exactly, yes. Yes. Like, yeah, you basically, like, you can accomplish a lot of visual effects by just layering noise on top of each other. Hello, Veronica. Change my name again. It's V. Awesome. Well, welcome, V. Glad to see you again. Okay, so ability icon for board effect. Investigate making wisps appear behind cards when they return. Is that even possible? It may not be possible. Add ability icon for board effect. Let's see if I can do that one. A sprite. Ability icons. Actually, I wonder... How big is this? Oh, is that bigger than 9 by 9? Oh, it's 8 by 8. Oh, no. It's 1 pixel too big. It can't be larger than 7 by 7. That's all right. We'll just try to copy this as much as possible. Well, I don't really know if that did much, but that's all right. I guess that's probably fine. That's probably fine. Doesn't need to be perfect. Okay. So let's duplicate this. Ability icon board effect. I hope this is unique. I think it is. Should be. Okay, so now we go to the ability label. We need to add an export variable. Private texture 2D. Board effect texture. Build. So different speeds, which helps. It gets rid of most repetition. Are you going to bit crush the sound effects for Alchemortis? I love the S effects in Clover Pit. So the thing I'm doing for Alchemortis sound effects is all of the music is essentially a 64 kilobit per second MP3. It's not actually an MP3 in the game, but it will sound like a 64 kilobit MP3. So I'm doing that for the music, and then for all of the wave files, I reduced the sample rate from 44,100 hertz to 22,050 hertz, which does make it sound a little bit crunchier. So yeah, the sound effects definitely don't sound like high fidelity. They sound a little bit crunchy, but they're not like, they're probably not crunchy to the level that you're thinking, but they definitely don't sound like high fidelity either. Small I isn't bad, thank you. About making an H just have an icon to signify it rather than a word. Seems like it shares some similarities with enchanted abilities and would reduce the visual clutter of some larger cards. I mean, I think the problem there is that people aren't going to know what the icon means when they first start the game. Looking forward to playing it. Thank you. I mean, you can play it now. The playtest is available now. So you could go to the Steam page and, yeah, play test it there. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we're going to try to implement this ability icon board effect into the game. So, be right back in just 3 minutes. Okay, I'm back. All right, we'll get this implemented, and then, yeah, this is the last thing we'll do for the stream. I'm getting quite hungry, so I need to go get some lunch, but... Crunchy sounds and no licensing issues with Fraunhofer Institute. Sounds like the best of both worlds. I don't know what that is. Is that a... Did something major happen with that? That is true. I find it hard to parse cards with many innate abilities, especially if they are passive and projected. I'll be honest, I'm unsure what passive and innate are. Well, you can read about them in the... Is it not helpful to read the text here? Or I guess, yeah, passive. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I guess that should have... Ring of Departed Lovers should have the passive effect. Ring of Departed Lovers. Why doesn't it have the passive keyword? Wait, why does it have the passive keyword? Oh. Oh, Ring of Departed. We'll fix that. I forget the inspector has those explanations. Yeah. Have you tried out Odin for game programming? I'm not. I'm not a low-level person. I mean, I guess it's debatable what level those are at, but C++, C, O, anything like that, I want to stay away from. No, thank you. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. They technically hold the patent of the MP3 format. Oh, gotcha. The inspector is great. Make the tutorial, make the player open the inspector once or twice. I have that written down, yeah. I need to think about the tutorial more, but anyway, board effect. So I think map region height 50. I guess this can be read-only too. Artifact sourced composed abilities. So we'll just follow this pattern. Oops. That's kind of unfortunate. Flush abilities if dirty. Contains ability. Rebuilt board effect sourced abilities. Board effect abilities is equal to that. Okay. Did I get everywhere? Yes. Okay. I think that's good. Find all references, ability label. Icon rect dot texture is equal to board effect texture. All right, let's see what happens. Do you like my crunched down map? Increase critical chance by 10%. Look at that. Board effect. I've got the board effect icon now. It looks pretty similar to the blind icon though, so I may need to redo that. Maybe redo the blind icon. Yeah. That's okay though. That's okay for now. So now we've got a different icon for the board effect. So that should hopefully help. Yeah, that should hopefully help quite a bit. Okay. Awesome. Okay, support board effect icon inability. Label. Cool. All right, that's going to be it for the stream today. I'm very hungry, so I'm going to go get some lunch. But you can wishlist Alchemortis on Steam. The link for that is below. You can also join the playtest. The playtest is live right now, and the playtest will be running for another week and a half or so. So you've got plenty of time to get in there, try it out. Let me know what you think. You can join the Discord, leave your bugs and feedback in the feedback channel in the Discord. I would appreciate that. This is the last playtest before the demo build. So yeah, any and all feedback is greatly appreciated as I finish this. But yeah, thank you, Steve. Yeah. All right, well, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I will not be streaming tomorrow, but I'll be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, or not tomorrow, Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So I hope to see you there, and otherwise, bye-bye for now.